On this episode of Audio Huddle, we talk about the amazing feats done by Devin Booker and Russell Westbrook. Also very Wilt Chamberlain-like. And then we're going to be diving in very, very deep into the East because there's a lot of things still moving around in the East. People have not yet secured their placements in the playoffs, and it's pretty spicy out here. So guys, stay tuned. Hey, what's up guys? Episode 4 of Audio Huddle. As usual, this is Eugene. A little bit admin stuff that we're going to go through before we start the episode. As stated before from the previous episode, we are including a giveaway. Yes, we'll be using our own dollars to give away either Giannis jersey or a James Harden jersey. So we're still hashing out the details, so just bear with us. And while you guys wait for us to make the official big super announcement, continue to share with your friends, comment, give us a review, give us some 5 stars on iTunes as well, and just let us know how you feel. And we really appreciate you guys spreading all the love that you guys give us. And Tommy, I think there's a little bit more that we need to talk about very soon.
Yeah, so after doing Audio Huddle for 4 episodes now, we thought that we found a good rhythm to it. So please be expecting, as we move forward, 3 to 4 podcasts a month at a ratio about 7 to 10 days per episode. So you'll be seeing a lot of us more consistently. And thank you guys once again for listening to Audio Huddle.
Yeah, we're going to be talking more theory crafting during the off season. We'll try and make it a little bit more fun, less serious, even though we already are not serious. So look forward to us even during the summer.
So I guess to start off this podcast, we have a lot of things to catch up on since we didn't have an episode last week. So I think the first thing that I want to talk about is that I apologize to everyone for saying that Jimmer Fredette is going to come and wreak havoc with the NBA. I didn't say that he was going to be good, though. I did say that if he was moderately good, it would be a success story.
But here's the thing. He's less than moderately good. He went 1 for 10. Now, I don't know what world of basketball you're playing in, but 1 of 10 is not very good.
Okay, yes, his first 2 games were lackluster, and he didn't play for the 3 games right after. But he did play against that game where he did go 1 for 10 against the Jazz. His redemption match against the Jazz again for their final face-off, he went 5 for 11 shooting for 10 points. He got 2 steals, 1 assist, and also a rebound with it. That's a pretty modest stat.
Pretty modest stat, but at what cost? Don't forget, he cucked Devin Booker of potential shots from the previous games.
Yes, and the only reason why he got 11 shots this game was that Booker was out for the remaining of the seasons.
There we go. Okay, so Booker's been playing fucking crazy this season. Going, how many points did he drop at a point in a streak?
I think near the last 5 games, he had 3 games in the first beginning where he hit 59 points, 50 points, and 48 points.
And all losses.
That's like the first time anyone has ever hit more than 45 points in 3 games and lost. The other person was Wilt Chamberlain.
Man, Wilt Chamberlain, I think, is like an urban legend at this point. I don't think his stats are even real.
Yeah, like no one actually has any video footage of his 100-point game. And he was facing off against like short 5'7" mans, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and there was also no 3-point violation, so he just stood there cherry picking probably. And he's probably huge too, right?
Yeah, it's like me playing against
actual NBA players?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate.
No, I think more accurate is a regular high school player playing against elementary school players.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I just imagine like a tall guy playing against a bunch of kids.
Man, what I'm thinking at this point now is I feel like Devin Booker prime would probably clap Wilt Chamberlain prime in a game of 21 because basketball's so much more elite now.
Well, yeah, the shooting percentage really has went up, and also the versatility of the range. It's nice and juicy.
The fundamentals have been truly increased. So it's kind of weird that every time Devin Booker is about to break a record, all teams just go on red alert and tries to like prevent him from shooting that final shot and being that team that Devin Booker shot on.
Yeah, for sure. So I remember when he hit 59, he was going to go for that 60, but the Jazz players decided to foul some other player to make sure that Devin Booker didn't even have a shot at that 60 points. And then when he was facing off against the Grizzlies, like the Grizzlies were dead set on winning. There's only a few seconds left, and he tried to dribble it up the court, and he got double teamed. Technically kind of triple teamed, but chill, guys. It was a double team, and then he turned the ball over. So I guess no one really wants to see that player score 50 points, 60 points on them regardless of winning or losing.
Listen, we're a Toronto Raptors fan. Kobe's dropped 81 on us. So we have this generation's title of all-time most shit on team.
Chill. Kobe shat on Jalen Rose.
So?
I'm going to blame Jalen Rose for this and not the Raptors.
All right, you do that. You do that, Tommy. I mean, you've been pretty wild lately, especially with your flat tire out there, your conspiracy theories that we'll talk about in a second. So you continue blaming Jalen Rose. But another wild thing that happened that's also Wilt Chamberlain related is Russell Westbrook went 20-20-21. Savage.
Yeah, and since the All-Star break, you can see that the OKC Thunders weren't as good as they were prior. We always thought that, oh shit, Westbrook is back, PG is back, they're like fundamental gods, and then afterwards, PG just disappears. That MVP PG is like no longer existent, and obviously he has been playing well. The OKC Thunder doesn't really have a third string All-Star that they can count on.
Whoa, Dennis Schroeder?
No.
What do you mean?
Like, the Oklahoma Thunders, they're definitely pretty good. You definitely see that they have a good supporting cast with, like, you know, Jeremiah Grant, Steven Adams, but they just don't have it. I felt like last year when they were playing well with Westbrook hitting another triple-double again, and for a fact, he's averaging a triple-double 3 seasons in a row now. That's crazy. I'll get back to that a little bit later, but yeah, last year when they were on the playoff run, you're just like, oh yeah, these two don't have enough. They need one more piece. Starting in the beginning of this year, you're like, oh shit, maybe they do have enough. But back at the very end of the season now, I just don't feel like they have enough to really make it past the second round. If they face against the Denver Nuggets, you never know, because the Nuggets are lacking playoff experience, especially with this young core of guys. If they're facing off against Golden State Warriors, there's no way that they're even going to make it past 5 games or 6 games.
Yeah, especially now that Steph Curry got his contacts on. He's been sky-fucking the entire universe at this point. Okay, bro, this is fucked up. The guy had bad eyes and was already shooting 42% from 3. Now that he got good eyes and put contacts on, he's almost shooting 50%, bro. So, a little bit of contacts. He had,
A little bit of contacts?
Guys, alright, you already know I'm a joke still. Let's get it. But Steph Curry had an eye disease that I am also not qualified to talk about because I cannot do science. So I'm just going to give you guys the bare minimum fact. Man's put on contacts and went 42% to 48%. What the fuck?
Dude, imagine if he got like LASIK eye surgeries and there would be nothing in front of his contact, like in front of his eyeballs.
Yeah.
This guy would be hitting like 56% or something like that.
Probably. It's like if you're already 6 foot and then you wear high heels on top of that, it's like why? Why add something better on what you already have that's good?
Yeah, it's like you're already enjoying a movie, watching it in IMAX 3D, and then you decide to be bougie and you sit in those 4D chairs in that 3D experience, so your chair moves too while everyone around you is just sitting in normal chairs.
Yeah. Or it's like you're taking a shit, all right? And it's a fantastic shit. It's a one wipe, but then you choose to continue sitting there playing on your phone.
Just because you can.
Just because you can.
On company time.
Exactly. Here's the thing. You cannot, even if it's a fantastic shit, you cannot, for your own right, shit for 2 minutes and come back out. You're legally supposed to stay there for an extra 10 minutes.
But your shits were 30 minutes, right? So do you just never finish?
No, my shits are kind of weird. It's like they break up a little bit, you know. I cry a little sometimes. I definitely sweat. So, yeah, I guess I have an incomplete shit every time I shit. I should see my doctors.
So you sweat when you take a shit?
Like intense, like sometimes like super intense shits, yeah.
So that's like your daily cardio for the day?
You could say that, you know, my guts be running.
Oh, you know, this is a little bit inappropriate this time. I'm pretty sure no one wants to see you or imagine you taking shits right now.
Well, no one wanted to imagine Steph Curry shooting even better than he should.
You know what? I would love to see that. Stephen Curry is the best shooter of all time.
It's
Don't
true.
at me.
I'm not going to at you because you're right. However, he's surrounded by the best team of all time as well.
Yeah.
And that's a little unfair.
It is unfair, but you know what? Life is unfair.
You're absolutely correct. Speaking of life being unfair, Jeremy Lamb shot 2 game winners against us, and I don't know what to say. I'm hurt.
Well, you know what? The very first time he hit that game winner from past half court, I couldn't even complain. We were watching that game together, And when he got that in, I think everyone just accepted it because it was greatness. It was a Hail Mary, and it worked.
It was definitely Podbean excellence.
It was Podbean excellence. That's like a 5-star slap right there, man.
Yeah, and then again, when we thought we were finally able to bury the Charlotte Hornets, Jeremy Lamb comes back in, another game winner. I don't know what the relationship is between Jeremy Lamb and the Toronto Raptors, but he must clearly hate us.
Well, since LeBron is gone now, we need someone else to be our gatekeeper, and Jeremy Lamb is definitely that guy.
It's now Lambronto.
Goodbye, LeBronto. It's Lambronto.
Correct.
It's like Jeremy Lamb, he single-handedly saved the Hornets from playoff contention. Like, it's wild. Like, I guess maybe 5 games ago, everyone was like, the Hornets, they have no chance of making it to the playoffs because you're facing against the Raptors twice, you're facing against the Spurs, and you're facing against other guys like, the Golden State Hornets and all those other...
Golden State Hornets?
Did I just say Hornets? Oh, man. I meant the Golden State Warriors. And what happens? They beat the Spurs, and they beat us twice as well. They still lost to the Warriors, of course.
Of course. As is tradition. I think right now we're in a really serious dogfight for the East, for 8th seed actually. And there are 5 teams in this topic of discussion, and no one is safe right now.
That's true. At the time right now, however, we gotta address that the Raptors have just beaten the Miami Heat. And this is filmed immediately after the game, so we do not know the results of the other 3 games that are playing tonight that can hinder the standings. But as of right now, it is confirmed that the Miami Heat have lost to the Toronto Raptors, which literally puts them at a lower percentage of making it to the playoffs.
Yes, and as of right now, the Hornets are currently playing the Pistons. Who else is playing as well? The Nets and the Magics have not yet played because that is happening later on at night. We will try and fill you in as much as we can throughout the day, but again, this is a podcast. We can only record like an hour at a time, right? So sorry for a little bit of misinformation throughout this episode.
But I guess to begin, before we even talk about anything, I just want to bring up the fact that a few days ago, I brought up to Eugene on a great conspiracy that I had.
Oh, yes, please tell me, because I've been branded as a conspiracy guy, but now we're branding ourselves as the Conspiracy Podcast.
Well, it's not really a conspiracy because it's been debunked, but a couple of days ago, I thought that since the Miami Heat were pushing for the playoffs, and the Raptors really want the Miami Heat to be the 7th seed, I believed truly that the Raptors would throw this game today for the Miami Heat so they can get into the playoff seeding. I was so sure of it that I went on all these gambling websites and I was looking at the odds, and I was almost going to put in $50 to $100 just to bet on it because I was so sure on the fact that they were going to throw it. And I heard it from, I believe it was a Danny Green podcast. Yes, I listened to all the Danny Green podcasts. And he was saying that, of course, I would love the Miami Heat to be in seeding. So I'm like, oh, shit. All the Raptors are conspiring to lose this game so they can better seed it. And I am so glad that I didn't end up putting money into it because I would have lost $50 to $100.
Well, it was a pretty spicy game. They took it to overtime. Unfortunately, my boy, Pascal, most improved player, Siakam, did a dagger 3 from corner.
You know what? It wasn't even unfortunate. Like, it was so hard for me to watch this game today because I was like, I want the Miami Heat to win. Also because of the fact that I am going to Miami and I want them to be in the playoffs so I can at least catch one of their games while I was there. But then again, I don't want to see the Raptors lose. The only reason why that I was okay with the Raptors losing is that the Bucks have already clinched 1st seed, and then 3rd seed is unattainable from any of the other guys. So we're stuck in 2nd seed regardless. So this win or loss wouldn't really alter us in the standings. But of course, you want to be going in strong in the playoffs. So especially after losing to the Hornets.
Yeah, I'm surprised no one got rested today, actually. Especially against the Miami Heat. But, you know what? Got the dub, I guess. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's true. And I had some people going like, how can you cheer for the Miami Heat, man?
Yeah, how could you?
You're a Raptors fan. How are you going to cheer against... Guys, I have a fucking Raptors tattoo on my body. You can't tell me that I'm not a Raptors fan, you know? Like I have my own needs too. I know that this game is not going to be detrimental to the Raptors. So let the Heats have it. But you know what? I didn't get it. It's all good. I was able to watch the Raps win, and maybe I'll just fly to Orlando instead to watch one of their stupid ass playoff games.
Well, that's if Orlando maintains 7th seed.
That's true, but I wouldn't be mad watching a Bucks game either, if they fall down to the 8th seed.
That's true, but yo, I remember even before the podcast even started, I think maybe we were in our second week or so. You were saying like, oh, you were like wet dreaming how you wanted like the perfect vacation, you know, is to land in Miami, wear your Raptors jersey into the stadium, cheer for the Raptors, leave your girlfriend and other friend just in the hotel as you cheer for your team by yourself.
We have higher priorities here. It wouldn't be a perfect trip if I wasn't able to watch the Raptors in Miami. And unfortunately, this dream has been shattered. And the fact that Miami lost today guarantees that the Orlando Magic are in the playoffs, basically.
Yes, and the Orlando Magic are pretty deadly. They've been a top 3 team in the East since the last 2 months, ever since they traded for Markelle Fultz. So it's a scary team, but I'm still confident on taking in the Magics. Now, the other teams that is not necessarily safe right now are the Nets, the Magic, as stated before, the Pistons, the Heat, and the Hornets.
So realistically, I feel like now the Heats have no chance of making it in. Very little chance. If the other teams do really bad and they do like a tiebreaker kind of thing, then it would work out. The Hornets, they would have to win the remaining 3 games that they have on the schedule to even stand a chance. The great thing is that they actually have the tiebreakers on all of the teams, basically. So if they ever tie for any positions on the 8th or 9th seed, they automatically win. And if they tie with all 5 teams, they actually end up in the 6th seed.
That's insane, actually.
Yeah, but they first have to win the remaining 3 games.
Which, is it possible, Tommy? You think it's possible?
Let me search this up in terms of like what games they have left. I know that they're facing off against the Pistons tonight. And then they still got the Timberwolves, I believe.
Who, the Charlotte Hornets?
Oh, they're facing off against the Pistons tonight, and then the Cavs, and then the Hornets, and then the Magics.
Wow, that's going to be a very fun game to watch, the Hornets versus the Magics.
Yeah.
Because that's actually important for both of them.
It would only be important for both of them if Hornets can beat the Pistons and Cavs. And they're definitely beating the Cavs. So we'll know. You guys will already know the results of the Pistons versus Hornets game by the time you guys listen to this. But I'm cheering for the Hornets because I don't like Pistons.
I'm cheering for the Pistons because I actually really love the Bucks matchup against Detroit. I would love to see how Blake Griffin would do in a series against Giannis. Be interesting. So, yeah, fuck the Hornets, too.
Well, I feel like Kemba Walker had such a great season early on.
Early on.
I think he deserves it. Like, this guy has been enduring the shitness of the Hornets for so many years and the bad management of Michael Jordan that, come on, he needs to be rewarded. And it will be such a great story that Jeremy Lamb was able to save the day and bring and reel their team back into playoff contention after being wiped off as the least likely to be able to make it into the 3 remaining seeds.
That's true. I mean, regardless of whoever secures the 8th seed, it's like, it's a given that the Bucks are going to sweep them right through.
Yeah. And you know what? I'd be okay with seeing Blake Griffin dominating in the East just because he's always been a player that I felt like is overrated early on in his career. And then now that like there's a couple years that gone by, he's been underrated again.
That's what I'm saying. He's playing a career season right now.
He hit like 44 points in 3 quarters the last game that he played. And people were shitting on him because he only hit 1 point in the 4th quarter. But he barely played in the 4th quarter. You know why? That's the classic Dwayne Casey bullshit that they pulled on the Raptors. I wanted Dwayne Casey fired 7 years in. Like 5 to 7 years ago. This guy had his reign for way too long in the Raptors. And I was glad to see him go. And then he proceeds to come and shit on us every single time the Pistons come to Toronto.
Yeah, Dwayne Casey revenge tour, bitch. But, again, it would also be nice to see the Detroit Pistons play against us as well, so we can show them our revenge tour. Because were you the one that stated this? We swept the Wizards in the regular season in the 2014-2015 season, right? Then they swept us in the playoffs.
Yeah, I strongly believe that even if the Raptors play the Pistons, we could easily beat them in 4 or 5 games, and that would be the classic Dwayne Casey defeat where regular season doesn't matter at all. But I think the really surprising thing that I want to bring up is that how well the Magics are playing. Like, I know for a fact that most of the NBA and the community doesn't want to see the Magics in the playoffs. They rather see the Dwayne Wade farewell tour get swept off in the playoffs. Like, that would be more enjoyable. That would bring in more viewerships than whatever the Orlando Magic team can bring. It's just overall that they have no superstar. No one wants to buy tickets or tune into Terrence Ross,
Aaron Gordon,
who's underperforming this year, and what's his name?
Vucevic.
Vucevic is sick though, and
He is
Fournier
sick.
has been playing pretty decent as well. And obviously, who doesn't want to watch Markelle Fultz in a suit?
I don't want to watch Markelle Fultz in a suit.
Neither do I, but unfortunately, they're most likely in the playoffs now, so we just gotta deal with it.
Yo, what if Markelle Fultz is the secret sauce? Like, he's actually some genius that's been coordinating the team secretly.
Yeah, maybe we should just fire the coach and let Markelle Fultz become it.
Maybe.
Because it's
Shit.
I think we broke it.
I think we did.
Markelle Fultz is the reason why the Orlando Magic are in the playoffs.
I mean, I did say that ever since they traded for Markelle Fultz, they have the top three record in the East.
I know that we mentioned this last week in terms of the standings and optimal playoffs. And since we're talking about the East right now, I think it might be good to just rehash it one more time. Just solely for the Eastern Conference, who do you want to see face off against the Bucks, the Raptors, the Boston Celtics, and the Sixers?
Okay, so right now, we'll go from like top to bottom. I really, really like Pistons and Bucks matchup. I like the big man war. It almost reminds me of the times when like Memphis versus the Clippers back in the West. It almost reminds me of that, except the Bucks are a much more refined team. For the Raptors, I would really love to see the Nets series again. It's always a fun series. I'm a big fan of D'Angelo Russell, and I do like to continue seeing the battle of the most improved player stretch over to the playoff season. Now, for third seed though, I would like to see the 76ers play off against, I guess, the Magics. To be honest with you, I really don't care about Philly. They're a team I actually don't really like, actually.
But Philly, they're like the first team in a long time that has 5 players averaging 17 points per game.
Facts. I just don't like Jimmy Butler.
So who is the most likable guy in the Sixers for you?
Joel Embiid.
I see.
I like his trollness. Ben Simmons a cuck nerd. Jimmy Butler looks like a toad.
How about Tobias Harris? What did he do to you?
Nothing. I just my dislike of Jimmy Butler brought down the 76ers severely.
You just don't want to see the guy succeed, right?
Jimmy Butler?
Yeah.
No.
Why not? You're just a hater at this point.
You're a Giannis hater. Who cares?
I'm not a Giannis hater. I love
I'm sorry,
Giannis.
Harden hater.
Facts. You're right. But I'm in the majority.
Why are you even hating on me for saying like, you're a Jimmy Butler hater, but where you hate on Harden so much more?
Okay. You're right. But in terms of...
This is literally my first time ever stating I do not like Jimmy Butler.
No, you called him ugly as hell in the last podcast as well.
And still. But he is.
But he's a great player. He's a snake, though. Like, he's very toxic.
He's incredibly toxic. Like, think about it. He took away the really nice young core of my favorite team, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he just ruined it. Like, they were having a great, like, road trip and stuff, and Jimmy Butler's the flat tire.
Was he really the flat tire, though? I think for the fact that the Timberwolves, they were already a mediocre team. They're in the, like, land of no return. It's like no NBA team wants to be at this stage in life, which is the mediocrity of, hovering between the playoffs and hovering between the tankers. That level of mediocrity is like really, really toxic. It's like you're playing for no reason. You're just playing to sell arena tickets at that point.
So the Timberwolves should have went through the process.
They either go through the process like how the Sixers did, or they continue upgrading. And they brought in Jimmy Butler in hopes of upgrading. Unfortunately, Butler didn't mesh well with the softer players like Cat and Wiggins. Obviously, it was the management's fault for not just trading him straight up for some great assets, but instead enduring it for so long just because of, Tom Thibodeau?
Yep, Tom Thibodeau and his wet dream of the Timber Bulls. So stupid.
Yeah, so that ended up causing such a big rift. Can't even blame Jimmy Butler, man. Like, how would you feel if you're playing against like a team with Andrew Wiggins as your teammate.
You're right. You're absolutely correct. You know what? I've never played with Andrew Wiggins, so I can't tell how lazy he is.
Yeah, but just from externally looking and hearing from everyone else saying like how lackluster he is, I think we can even see it, right? When you're watching a Timberwolves game, you can see that this guy barely moves around, defends. Like he's very just lax.
Yeah.
And he also sometimes shoots like 23 times and only gets like 8 shots in at most.
He's very vicious at chucking the long twos, but not getting them in.
He's a poor man's Chris Bosh.
Oh, that's a good take. It's a very good take. Now, okay, back to what you were saying. I absolutely love the Celtics-Pacers matchup. They're two hard team. Like, I really want the Pacers to win, and I think it would be so poetic that the Pacers, having the story of they were kind of the good team that was kind of swept under the rug. They lost their best player, yet they're still playing with a lot of heart and grit. Delete, number one, my most hated team, but also the team that was destined to be the greatest team in the East, possibly the entire NBA this season, but kind of went downhill because of their own team hating themselves. And it's kind of like the team that hates each other versus the team that really works together to try and win, And I really, really, really love that matchup.
So do you think that there's an unpopular take right now because everyone thought that early on in the season, the Celtics would dominate and be the biggest threat in the East? Obviously, throughout the season, there have been lots of wear and tear and a lot of issues with the Boston Celtics. Do you think that they are still the biggest threat because they're just so unpredictable and they'll find their shit right before?
They're definitely a threat. This is still a team with very big pieces, However, I would love nothing more than to see Kyrie Irving do a couple sweet moves, run to the rim, just to get fucking flattered by Miles Turner.
Yes, I do think that Miles Turner deserves a lot more recognition that he doesn't get. Like, this guy is a defensive player of the year contender. He was injured for a little bit, but, he even tweeted, like, DPOY, like, because he has more blocks than some teams himself.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. I would love to see that happen. The Pacers are able to find some formula to succeed without their best player.
Yeah, and this is why I think this is actually probably one of the best series out of the East, because it's such an X factor. On one hand, you see the Pacers performing what both teams were performing better or worse than expected. So it's really unpredictable on how this would play out. Either the Celtics go completely nuclear and delete the Pacers, or the Pacers, like you said before, find a formula and figure out how to play against the Celtics. I love this matchup. I really do.
Mm-hmm. And I guess for me, myself, I pretty much agree with everything for you. If I had to pick, 3 of the 5 teams, I would have to go with Nets, Magic, and Pistons, realistically. As much as I want to see Kemba Walker make a run in the playoffs, I don't see it happening. But yeah, in Bucks versus Pistons would be great. Raptors versus Nets, I know that the Raptors can beat the Nets, and watching the MIPs fight together would be very juicy.
Succulent, if you will.
Yeah, succulent. And the fact that if Pascal beats D'Lo, now that conversation just ends, right? Everyone goes, yeah, sure, Pascal might win, but D'Lo is the better player. But sure, D'Lo had 4 years in the league, right? Like, Pascal's only been in the league for 3. So give him 1 more year, 2 more years. I have no doubt that people would build a team around Pascal over D'Lo. That might be a hot take, and that might be truly biased because I take that right now.
That's a super hot take, actually.
Yeah, because D'Lo is a fantastic player, but I believe that D'Lo is great. He's the best player on a Nets team right now, and I just think that Pascal has the it factor to elevate to the next step and become, a elevated Kawhi Leonard type player moving forward.
You know what's funny that I just remembered? So yesterday, I was hanging out with the homies in downtown, right?
Yeah.
And then we're all just sitting around the living room, just talking shit and stuff, right? And one of my boys about to say some incriminating shit. He was like, "Oh yeah, I was going to do X, Y, Z, right?" And our homie, I'm not gonna name names, pulls out his phone. He's like, yeah. And then my boy's just like, "Wait, why are you deloing me? Why are you deloing me?" And I was like, "Facts. That's why you got traded over."
Yeah, but don't you think that D'Lo was able to really unlock himself and D'Lo to that next level because he was a snake?
I agree.
And he did some stupid shit of trying to record someone incriminating himself.
I mean, at the end of the day, who's in the NBA? D'Angelo Russell. Who's not in the NBA? Nick Young. Who's the irrelevant rapper? Iggy Azalea. So who's the real winner?
Ah, you're right.
There we go.
But yeah, Raptors Nets would definitely be something that I would love to see. I know that it would be competitive. Obviously, they'll give us trouble because they are a great team.
They might even take one from us.
They might even take two from us, realistically, just because D'Lo can go off. Like, remember, watching that game, the last Nets versus Raptors game, sure, the Raptors beat them, but the Nets were... D'Lo himself was able to get 3 straight threes, heavily contested threes, all by himself to cut the game to like 6 points.
Mm-hmm. And Karis LeVert and Spencer Dinwiddie are also playing back onto par of how they were expected to play early on in the season before their injuries. So this team is starting to become complete very late into the season, and it's scary, but I love it.
Yeah, and I did see everywhere on NBA Reddit that, no one likes the Magics, no one wants to see the Magics, but at the same time, they've been going on a tear, and no one wants to face the Magics.
So therefore, we should regulate it to the 76ers.
Yes, let the 76ers and Magic fight it off. And you know what? Realistically, I love the fact that the Raptors are in the same side as the Sixers, because I'd much rather have the Bucks and Celtics go at it in the second round. Because one, Bucks are heavily crazy, and the Celtics are also unpredictable. And we had a very bad track record against the Celtics.
We did, yeah.
What do you think about the Bucks, though? Like, do you think that they'll actually dominate and be basically a Final Four contender? Or do you think that they're just having such a superior regular season and they'll do what the Raptors did last year, which is choke in the playoffs, because they're literally going from 5th, 6th seed all the way to their 1st seed in minimal changes?
I think what's very different about the Bucks this season, compared to the Raptors last season when we played like a crazy regular season, is number one, they do not have Dwayne Casey. That's actually a very big factor. They actually have a very competent and good coach. Number two, we were able to succeed off of the whole team winning. So our bench was fantastic all the way down to the 3rd string. Our starting lineup was good, above average, to be very blunt, right? We were a good above average like starting lineup, but what really made us become really good was the whole team playing team ball. However, what the Bucks have is a potential MVP player playing the best season he's ever played, and he has the ability to single-handedly carry a team over to a playoff. Therefore, in my opinion, he also has the ability to carry the team very deep into the playoff season. Because, as you know, in most playoff series, teams usually resort to their best 5 to 7 players. Very rarely will the third string come in to perform as well as they did in the regular season. So I can completely see the Bucks going very, very far this season in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to give a shout out to the Bucks and the Raptors for the fact that they are on track to be the best 2 teams with the best records in the NBA. And that's the first time since, I think it was 2009, that the East had the top 2 teams.
Was it Cleveland Cavs
and Chicago, maybe?
Chicago? Or was that Orlando?
It was Orlando.
Dude, yeah. It's been so long. It was when Dwight Howard was good.
Yeah, that's wild. And fun fact, guys, did you guys know since 2011, there has been a different 1st seed in the Eastern Conference? Like, that's crazy. So, Eugene, you want to tell us about it?
Yeah, so the 2011-2012 season, the 1st seed was the Bulls. 2012-2013 was the Heats. 13-14 is the Pacers. 14-15 is the Hawks. 15-16 is the Cavs. 16-17 is the Celtics. 17-18 is the Raptors. And this season is the Bucks. Whoa.
That's like coincidence to the max.
So who do you think is going to catch it next year?
Well, at this rate, maybe maybe the Sixers.
Sixers? Nets? Nah.
Nah. Chill.
Yeah, chill,
like
chill.
we ride the Nets really hard in this podcast, and like every week we always go, D'Lo is the greatest, and Chris LeVert and Dinwiddie is great, and like we basically conformed ourselves into this little cult of what we call a audio huddle circle jerk for D'Lo.
You're correct, but don't forget my boy Joe Harris, my boy Jared Allen. Oh my God, I'm a Brooklyn Nets stan.
Yeah, but you were telling me that you thought that Jared Allen was ugly.
Yeah, just because he's ugly doesn't mean he's sick. Like, I was hating on Jimmy Butler for being ugly, but, he's still a sick player.
That is true. It's fair. I think James Harden is a boring ISO player, but I think he's a great player still. Definitely a top 2 player in the NBA.
Always trying to shit on James Harden. You are not scared of the beard.
I do not fear the beard, but I do fear the deer.
Ooh. Is there anything more that we need to talk about for this episode, Tommy?
Yeah, like I do want to give a shout out. You know what? I feel like we're such a Raptors centric podcast.
No shit, bro. We're from Toronto. We're in a cold fucking basement talking about the Raptors, talking about how we got cut by Jeremy Lamb. We are a Raptor-centric podcast.
Exactly. And speaking of like super cold, like the weather in Toronto has been very nice lately, but at my house, I have no heat on. My heat got broken. And like I was like literally sleeping with 2 blankets. You know those Asian blankets with like the freaking tigers and stuff on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to sleep with those on because it felt like it was -3 in my house. I gotta get it fixed.
Yesterday, it was so nice out, right? I slept with the fan on.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why. My house feels like it's just super cold, even though it's warmer outside than it is inside my house.
Okay, so what did you do to the heater?
I think there's a wiring problem with it, so I just gotta get it checked. Like, my parents, they went to China, and like I'm like home by myself basically.
With your dog?
With my dog, yes, a cockapoo, 3 years old, very cute. Follow it on Instagram, Mika Ventures.
Wow, was that a shameless plug?
Yeah, it's a shameless plug. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm inactive. I don't even handle that account. My little brother does. But you should follow Audio Huddle because we're definitely very active on Instagram.
Active and spicy. We got ice in our veins like D-Lo. Oh my god.
Yo, you are a D-Lo stan.
I am a D-Lo stan. But speaking of ice in their veins, and also being a Raptors stan, shoutouts to my man, Chris Boucher, winning the MVP and the Defensive Player of the Year in the G League.
Yes, that is I think it's like the first time ever in G League history or even D League history. So it's crazy to know the fact that we have a all-star caliber player in the G League playing for the Raptors 15th spot, baby.
Let's get it. You know what? I'm going to give you credit for this. You will be the first one to have said it. Chris Boucher, future all-star.
Yes, so quote me on that.
Yes. And speaking of legendary Chris's that played in the NBA, Chris Bosh retired.
Yeah, it's definitely a beautiful sight. Gotta respect him for what he did for Toronto.
It's definitely bittersweet as well. Nobody wanted him to end his career like that. But at least, he ended with greatness, legacy, power.
That's true. And 2 rings.
And 2 rings. Definitely Podbean excellence.
That is like a high level amount of excellence. I would put his jersey in your basement right now. He should make it to the Audio Huddle Hall of Fame.
Yes, and right now the Audio Huddle Hall of Fame is definitely empty except for a picture of D'Angelo Russell that I drew.
Yeah. That's D'Angelo Russell? That looks like a stick man, bro.
No, man, look, the braids.
Oh, true.
Look, there's ice in his veins. You see that? It's not a crack rock. It's ice.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Well, then, I think that's basically all the time we have left for today. Any closing remarks, Eugene?
Closing remarks? I say, guys, look forward to the playoffs. It's actually exciting from both ends this season. The East is pretty deadly. We will be updating you guys as much as we can. Thank you again for listening to Audio Huddle. My name is Eugene.
And my name is Tommy. And remember, fans, not experts.
Correct.
Listen to us on Podbean. Podbean, please sponsor us.
We're also available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play.